Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Paul Martin with Brilliant Life Chiropractic. And I know that I talk a lot about holistic and healthy lifestyle choices, but I didn't start off that way. And I think partly by explaining the way that I came to some of the conclusions that I did through my own experiences, you'll understand why I decide to live my life the way I do. Um, so I started off with a very medical mindset. I grew up in a family where my dad is an electrical engineer and my mom is a nurse manager. Um, and it was that age. I grew up in the 80s when it seemed like technology and medicine were going to fix everything. Like it was just around the corner. The Human Genome Project was getting started, and we were going to fix everything that was wrong with the human body because it seemed like there was a lot wrong with the human body. We were seen as weak, incomplete, needing to be fixed, and really just destined for disease. I mean, really, why not? It seemed really reasonable to me that I should have, let's see, here's a list: asthma, bad knees, a bad back, itchy skin. Didn't all humans have problems? I had my share. I used to joke with a friend when I was in high school. She also had bad knees that used to dislocate frequently. That had we been born in like Paleolithic times, we would surely have been killed off early. And thank goodness for modern medicine that we're still alive, because we weren't really fit to survive. But as I've gone through life, what if none of that is true? This post is really about that journey from the medical mindset to the holistic one. So pay attention. What triggers and choices helped me see a different way of approaching health, and what did it take to move from a place where I regularly took a half dozen medications when I was in my teens to now I'm in my 40s and I take none at all. So I was diagnosed with asthma at 5 years of age. I was running around playing soccer and we're playing in the backyard, and my parents were worried because my chest was coming up to my chin as I was trying to breathe, and I just really had a hard time. So they took me into the doctor. I was diagnosed with asthma, and I was given a relief inhaler, which is what they do. Over time, that one inhaler, which basically was a stimulant, and it stimulated my lungs to open, that one inhaler became three. And then I even added on a pill called Singulair for a short time. And the whole time I was doing that, I was basically just treating a symptom. I was just saying, oh, my lungs are tightening up. Let's just make them open up again. And it controlled them, really, but at what cost? You know, taking a stimulant over and over and over again is not a good thing. I had trouble sleeping when I was younger. I wonder why. When I was younger, every time I had an ear infection, my parents decided to treat it through the conventional route, which at the time totally made sense. You have an ear infection, you go to the doctor, and I got antibiotics. These antibiotics I now know probably wiped out my gut flora, which is what predisposed me to asthma in the first place. It may also have contributed to the aches and the pains that I had later. There's a lot of research coming out linking arthritic type pains to a disruption in your gut microbiome. Knee pain showed up for me really early on. I was about 9 or 10, and they basically started giving me just a whole bunch of ibuprofen. And I was diagnosed with Osgood-Schlatters disease, which is an inflammation of the tibial tuberosity. And so then I took even more. That pain lasted for quite some time. About 2 years later, it kind of lessened a little bit, but I was left with really bad knees that were weak and painful. And then around that time, I developed lower back pain. And it wasn't until I was done with college and I worked as a personal trainer for 24 Hour Fitness that I started to get the idea that maybe there was something else that I could do. Part of what stimulated this was I didn't have money to pay for my inhalers anymore, and I was not going to be on insurance anymore, and I couldn't afford the out-of-pocket cost. So I was like, can I wean myself off of these? Um, and sure enough, I was able to wean myself off, and this is kind of how I did it. I started looking at my food habits for one. Um, so I changed how I ate. I dropped milk out on a suggestion that it might be congestive, and my asthma started to get better. Weird, but I noticed that it was. And then I'd also discovered meditation, and when I started doing meditation, I discovered how my emotions related to my asthma, and so I was able to deal with those. And then as I got better at meditation and as I controlled my food, my asthma symptoms dropped so that I was no longer needing to have a relief inhaler with me all the time. And I didn't have to take it preventatively before I worked out anymore. Um, so I dropped milk, and I still carried an inhaler around just because you never know what can happen, right? And there were times I was still allergic to cats, and if I was near a cat for too long, asthma would kick up. But I'd managed to stop taking any medication on a regular basis, except for the occasional relief inhaler. My knee pain and lower back pain were under control, but not quite fixed. I was wearing orthotics, that my chiropractor actually had suggested that I wear, and they helped with some of that, but not all of it. After chiropractic school, I discovered barefoot shoes, and that brings you more back to a natural thing. And so, after going through this adaptation process, I discovered the foot can take care of itself, and you don't need arch support. A lot of people don't need arch support. We think we do. We've been brainwashed to think that we need arch support, but it's like wearing a lower back brace all the time, and it just makes things weaker. Uh, I had grown up with flat feet, and wearing the orthotics didn't make them any better, but going to barefoot shoes did because they got stronger and they developed that arch that they need. Now I'm in even less pain. I went from like 90% of my pain going away with the orthotics to now I'm in no pain at all. And after that, I switched over to paleo eating, and that involves no processed food, lots of veggies, a fair amount of meat, no grains, no dairy for the most part, no legumes, and I've added back in high-fat dairy because that seems to work for me okay. I went from being someone who was hungry all the time and had to just fight food cravings all the time to now I'm not hungry at all, hardly. I've activated my healing mechanisms through fasting, which is something the body can do. And the itchy skin that I mentioned before, totally gone. That was something I wasn't expecting, but it totally went away. And I can maintain my weight effortlessly. And this is through no supplementation. Like, I don't supplement. Um, I do something else, which I'll get to later, but I don't supplement. Today I'm living with no medication. And at 42, that's kind of amazing. Most 42-year-olds I know are on at least a few. I feel better than I ever have before. Every year seems to get better than the one before. I'm also the oldest I've ever been. Ha. And the only thing that I do, so I owe it to meditation, paleo eating, functional exercise like CrossFit, chiropractic, and barefoot shoes. Did you see medication anywhere in that? No, because I take none. There's a reason that I don't actually just trust medicine as a healthcare system. It's great for crisis care, but I don't trust it for healthcare. It didn't do me any good. I controlled my symptoms, but it didn't help me heal, and now I'm more vibrant and alive than ever. The only thing that I've added back in to some degree looks like a supplementation, and it's the Nerf2 activator, which is fantastic and just helps all of the other things work better and helps my body combat oxidative stress like nothing else. So my own personal experience is that when I left medicine behind and sought to enhance my body's own healing ability from within, I did better than ever. And that's what chiropractic is all about, allowing you to function better so that you can heal. I'm Dr. Paul Martin with Brilliant Life Chiropractic. You deserve a brilliant life. Let it shine.